All right, we are here again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be unto you from wherever part of the country you're watching us from or the world you're watching us from. This is the second edition of today's session, the third day of the annual TP Parenting Conference. And today is going to be the day we are rounding everything up. And the second speaker for today is going to be Dr. Fatima Adebiyi, someone that I admire so much. I love her, how she's always very quiet, reserved, but she's mighty. You know those people that will usually not talk when you are in a gathering, but they are loaded. These are the kind of people, this is the kind of people that this woman is. I adore her so much. Though I've never told her that before, but I'm saying it now in public that you're one of the people that I respect so much. May your Lord continue to make you the light that you are and an epitome of wisdom, knowledge, and example to other people. So thank you for honoring our invite and for being here. So I'd like to read the profile of our guest lecturer now. She's a scientist, Fatima Debi, the scientist and education thought leader with a passion for helping people to lead and develop in order to create an ideal society. To her honor, her love and logic parenting, child development and guidance, and Islamic psychology and counseling certificates. One of our life goals is to help parents raise good kids and develop positive connections with them. She has about 21 years of teaching experience which spans from early childhood education through higher education. In the field of education, she has worked as a teacher, educator, researcher, and an administrator. She enjoys working with parents to support their children's educational achievements and derives satisfaction in the success of her students. She envisions a society where parents will raise good kids that will function properly and contribute positively to the development of an ideal society, thus making the world a better place for all to live in. She's happily married, blessed with kids. Barakallahu fikum, ma'am. So you can see that you are bringing an educator to our midst now. She has over 21 years of experience. That was when I was just like a teenager in my early teens when she's already started teaching her whole path into teaching world. So please join us while we talk about the topic, your child and you and your child, the connection points. So you can go ahead and start, Ma.
Thank you very much. I would like to start by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh and a very good morning to you all. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you all, and thank you for attending this program. Your time and effort are highly appreciated. To the founder and the team of the TP Parenting Academy, thanks for having me, and I appreciate your work on parenting. More grace to your elbow. The topic before me is my child and I, connection points necessary for healthy sense of self. Our learning goals for today are at the end of the program, you will be more informed about the connection points between you and your child or children, as the case may be, that are necessary for healthy sense of self, and you'll be better equipped with skills, tools, and resources that will support you in your parenting journey. I want you all to feel free to send your questions as we go along, and I will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. I would like to share a story with you all, and I want you to pay attention and listen attentively. There was a woman who has a 15-year-old daughter. She was a single parent and raised a daughter without a father. To make ends meet and to provide for her family, she works 9 through 5, 40 hours per week, and this gave her little or no time for her daughter. Each time her daughter approaches her, she always replied saying, "I'm tired, not now," or "let's talk about this later." Her daughter doesn't have a father in the house, and she's also not available to meet the emotional needs of her daughter. In fact, she is not connected to her daughter. Her daughter often relies on her friends and social media to fill this void. One day, she caught her daughter with a misdemeanor and rebuked her for her behavior. Her daughter snapped back and told her that she was never available for her and focused mostly on her work. She feels disconnected from her and she will never be able to understand her. At that moment, the woman just sat down on the sofa and reflected on the words of her daughter. It then dawned on her that indeed she needs to make a connection with her daughter so as to raise her right. She apologized and promised to create more time for her. This is the end of the story. The moral of the story is I will leave that for you to figure it out. So, for my presentation today, we will look at the sense of self as a concept, building a strong and healthy sense of self, factors that influence sense of self, the parent-child connection, and why this is important, how we can develop a positive parent-child connection, understanding the generation gap, connection points that are necessary for a healthy sense of self, some strategies for connection, challenges in having connection points necessary for a healthy sense of self, a summary, and I will conclude from there. Now, let's look at the sense of self concept. Sense of self concept just entails knowing who you are, what you think, what your opinions are, what your values are, and an overall general self-awareness of who you are. And concepts like self-esteem, self-confidence, self-regulation, self-awareness, self-perception are interrelated with sense of self. Having an understanding of the concept of sense of self will guide us in developing a strong and healthy sense of self and will assist us in our relationships. Understanding our relationships and having a fulfilling relationship. And here I'm talking about the parent-child relationship. It could be mother, child, father, child. Now, how do we have a healthy sense of self? Because you can also have an unhealthy sense of self. So, but I will want us to focus more on having a healthy sense of self. One, we need to look at our self-esteem and we have to take steps to feel better about ourselves. Recognize situations that affect our self-esteem. We need to be aware of our thoughts and beliefs. If we have negative thinking, we have to challenge them and step back from those negative thoughts. And when I mean negative thoughts could be as negative as you wanting to commit suicide. Negative thoughts could be like regretfulness. And we need to adjust our thoughts and beliefs. Beliefs include believing in yourself that you can do it, even if all the factors seem against you. And we need to identify troubling conditions and situations. Whenever we have positive thoughts, we should embrace them and accept them. There are many factors that influence sense of self. So basically, I'll talk about the four main factors. These are family, the kind of family you are, or the one you are even producing, will influence your sense of self. The culture, and when I mean culture, I'm talking about values, principles, and beliefs. The society, the people around you, and then the environment as a whole. This could be the home, workplace, or situations that surrounds where you live and operate. The Bible and the Quran teach us that children are gifts from God. We should pray for them, model faith and character. Now I ask you all, when someone gives you a gift, what do we do with the gift? We value it and cherish it, isn't it? Therefore, we also have to value and cherish these gifts, that is our children, that have been given to us by God. And we will not be able to value and cherish our children unless we have a connection with them. According to Knapp, he created a model on relational development, and he identified 10 stages. I'm just going to list the stages. Whoever is interested in learning more can do some online reading or maybe books. So we have the initiating, experimenting, intensifying, integrating, bonding, differentiating, circumscribing, stagnating, avoiding, and terminating. And all these 10 stages could be subgrouped as coming together, relational maintenance, and coming apart. For us as parents, with purposeful and intentional parenting as our goal, we want our connection with our children to be at that level of relational maintenance. We just don't want to initiate the bonding with them, connect with them, and then it falls apart. We don't want them to be disconnected from us. We want them to continue to integrate, bond with us, circumscribe, and differentiate. Now, why is it important for us to have parent-child connection? Evidence-based research have informed us that there's a need for us to have a positive parent-child connection because it provides a better chance of developing a happy and content relationship with others. It regulates emotions, understands stress and difficult situations. For the children, it promotes mental, linguistic, and emotional development. Children often exhibit optimistic and confident social behaviors, and it lays a foundation for better social and academic skills, which leads to healthy social, emotional, motivational development, and strong problem solving skills. All these are the outcomes of having a positive and healthy parent child connection. Having known the importance, how can we develop this positive and healthy parent child connection that I just talked about? Briefly, we need to show love to our children. Oftentimes, we imply that we love our children, but are they really feeling it that we love them? It's not until you say, I love you to your child that they know you love them. In our attitudes, in our dealings, do they have that feeling that they are loved? We need to set boundaries, rules, consequences for our children because when there are no rules and boundaries, then we shouldn't reprimand them if they go above the boundary, beyond the boundary, or they go against the rule. And I will strongly recommend that we do this together with our children. When they talk to us, we should try to listen. If their situation is pathetic, let's empathize with them. For younger kids, we need to play with them more. Some of you might have experienced this, like maybe you have younger kids like 5 years old and younger, or maybe 7 years old and younger. One of the accusations they will have against you is you don't play with them enough. And then as a mom or a dad, you will be wondering, with all my busy schedule, play is what you can ask for. But do we know that playing with kids, it has a lot of social emotional benefits for them. So we have to play together with them, even though we are very busy, that's understandable. Great time to play together with them. For older kids, maybe those that are 13 years and above, of course, going to park will not be amusing to them. You can organize outings, maybe take them out together for some social events. Above all, our children need to feel safe and have that sense of belonging that we really love and care for them. In creating a positive and healthy parent child connection, we need to understand what is called generational gap. And for us to know how best to connect with our children, we have to understand that there are 7 living generations today. We have the greatest generation, silent generation, baby boomer, generation X, generation Y or millennial, generation Z, and generation alpha. I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of the date of birth or the ages of all these 7 generations that I have mentioned earlier. So the data before me indicates that the attendees that are listening to this presentation belong to Generation X, Y, and Z, while the majority are Generation Y and Z. Why is this important? Why am I even talking about this? It is important because some of us, perhaps we have kids at the age of 40, for example, and you just have a child. This means by the time you are 50 years old, your child will be 10 years old. So there is a gap, age difference of 40 years between you and your child. And the fact that both of you belong to different generations is going to impact how you're going to connect with your child and also affect the quality and the type of parent-child connection that both of you will have. But once we understand that there is a generational gap, and this is important because each generation has different values, beliefs, and opinions. And also, we have some external factors that also impact these generations, like the use of technology, the internet, social media. So, for someone who is 50 years old and has a child of 10 years old, I want you all to think, do you think the relationship will be like, it's not going to be easy because as a parent who is 50 years old, you will be working based on your old school parenting strategies, and which may not necessarily apply to kids of that generation at the moment because of the advances in technology, the internet, and social media, and how they impact how we live our lives today. To the audience, I would like to ask you 2 questions. The first question is, what kind of parent-child connection do you have? Is it that of narcissism, entitlement, kind, loving, caring, or empathy? You as a parent, you can answer this better. And I know that you will not deceive yourself. Just assess yourself. The second question is your connection helping you to develop a healthy sense of self in your child and in you as a parent? If your answer is yes, then congratulations and keep it up. However, if your answer is no, perhaps you are having some challenges and struggles with raising your kids. They don't listen, they have a lot of misbehaviors and attitudes that you are not satisfied with, then more work needs to be done. I want us to look at some connection points that are necessary for healthy sense of self. The bottom line of connection points necessary for healthy sense of self in our children is for them to feel safe. That safety is priority. We also want them to thrive and develop to their optimum potential. And this can be achieved through emotional connection, being affectionate with them, understanding their behavior, modeling expected behavior, having value proposition, building healthy relationships, accepting our children and having unconditional love for them. It's not only the good kids in the family that we embrace and appreciate. Not all kids are created or born equal. Some kids have some unique and special qualities, and some of them we may see them as negative, but in actual fact, what we see as negative may be a plus to that child. So accepting them, however it is they are, with the intention of supporting them to live a better life. Using mistakes. Children will make mistakes. Even as adults, we also make mistakes, maybe at our workplaces, at home, in our relationships, you name it, at school. We also make mistakes. We can use the mistakes our children make as a form of connection, a means to connect with them by providing them with learning opportunity. When we look at what we have said so far, what will come to mind will be, okay, we have known the importance, how to develop, what is the whole essence of this connection point. So what are the strategies? How can we strategize to be able to develop this positive and healthy parent-child connection? I have penciled down 8 strategies, and I believe some of you will have some strategies that you're currently using that I may not mention, and some of you might benefit from these strategies that I'm going to share with you all today. So the first one is spirituality. We have to pray for them, pray together with them, teach them how to pray and connect with God. In terms of academic, we need to connect with them by asking them about their studies, their success and challenges, help them with homework if they need it. The social strategy includes many activities that we can organize, like go out with them, organize events, going to the park for younger kids, have fun activities for older kids. Let the children organize these social events themselves, and you will see how connected they will be. Most families, they don't have meals together, no breakfast together, because the father has gone to work maybe around 5 a.m. or 7 a.m., whatever the schedule is. Even the mom has gone to work. So even lunch, children have lunch at school. So dinner time is when everybody is back home. Kids are back from school. The husband is at home, back from work. If mom is working or maybe she has a business, she's also back. So let's encourage ourselves to have dinner together as a family. Some of us already do this, but we need to take advantage of eating dinner together. Have conversations, discuss issues. Apart from having dinner together and using it as an opportunity to connect, organizing family meetings whereby you can discuss issues affecting family members. It could be work, job, school. For older kids, maybe relationship, stress, social life, you name it. And we can only demonstrate a healthy relationship when we exhibit it with our spouse, because the children are also looking at us, how we relate with our husbands or our wives, and creating that healthy environment to raise our kids. If you raise your kid in an environment that will corrupt their upbringing, it's going to be tougher for you to raise kids that will meet your expectation. So if the environment is not healthy, you have to create an healthy environment. Maybe you might need to relocate depending on whatever threats the environment is posing to your parenting. Financial strategy is also important. We need to teach them about money, how to make money, save money, invest money, teach them about financial intelligence, financial literacy, let them acquire business and entrepreneurial skills. These are some of the things they don't teach them in school unless they do business studies or they study accounting or they go to business school or venture into careers in the business discipline. When we were young, I don't know, maybe some people still do it today. They call something colo, piggy bank. We can revive that. Let them have ownership. And you will see that when they grow up, they'll be able to save their money and invest their money. And we can also encourage them to invest, guide them on how to invest their money, maybe college funds, school funds, whatever it is they want to invest in. Next, I would like to talk about leadership and decision making. We need to equip them with leadership and decision making skills. Don't do everything for them, even if they're as young as 5 years old. Look for age appropriate responsibilities and delegate it to them. Let them contribute and participate in the family decision making. For example, if you're a mom and you want to prepare dinner, engage them in the conversation. What should we cook for dinner? What should we have for dinner? Let them participate. Or perhaps the father wants to relocate to another place. Involve them in decision making that affects the family. Give them some agency, autonomy on issues that you know are age appropriate and they can handle. That way, they are building their leadership and decision making skills. In an environment where insecurity is a major concern, self defense is important. They also need to learn about security and safety for themselves, not just for themselves, the family and friends. What are your family's morals and what are your family's values? We need to teach them respect, honesty, truthfulness, trustworthiness, moral uprightness, good character. If they don't have any morals or there are no family values that they are living up to, then they will end up being immoral and social misfits. Lastly, I want us to look at communication as a strategy to bond and connect with our children. We need to have effective communication, understand their verbal communication. Sometimes they exhibit nonverbal cues. Perhaps maybe they are struggling, they feel lonely, they spend too much time on TV, movies, on the internet, social media. That's a red flag. We need to watch out. Ask questions, ask them questions. If you have a teenager, maybe like someone who is 17 or 18, just it comes home lately, ask questions. I thought you ought to have been home earlier than this. Where did my prince go? Ask them questions. If they ask you questions as well, answer their questions. Listen genuinely to them. Not you pretend to be listening. You're pressing something on your phone or doing something on your computer. We need to give them that audience and attention that they need. Do you know that because of lack of effective communication between parents and their children, some children are stressed, traumatized, at the verge of committing suicide, that they feel they're tired of this life, they want to rest forever, just end it or be alone. This is because when kids talk to their parents, they use some of these words that we don't even pay attention to. For example, if your child says, I'm tired of this life, just out of frustration, we need to take it seriously. I just want to end it. We need to pay attention. Or the child is always saying, I want to be alone. I want to be alone all the time. He or she doesn't want to participate in family activities or engagement. Just I want to be alone. I want to be alone. We need to pay attention. Overall, we need to empathize with them and show them that we really care about them. Are there challenges in achieving this? Of course, there are. And it starts from you as a parent, me as a parent, all of us as parents. If you do not take care of yourself, we cannot form that parent-child connection that will be necessary for a healthy sense of self, both for our kids and for ourselves. So what are some challenges that we might face? Some challenges that we might face are depression. If you are depressed, or you're suffering from anxiety, emotional problems, or someone who is into drug and alcohol and has drug and alcohol problems, we face lots of stress factors in our day to day activities, maybe at school, work, wherever. So, high level of stress, for example, financial problems, lack of support, overwork, all these are going to be some challenges that we will face. If you have a chaotic childhood history, it could be due to child abuse or child neglect, or perhaps you've been violated or experienced any trauma. Remembering all these negative memories is going to be a major challenge in forming this connection that we've mentioned. And if you live in an environment that is unsafe, this is going to be a major challenge. Now, having said all that, we have looked at the sense of self concept, how to have a strong and healthy sense of self, the factors that influence sense of self, the parent-child connection, why it's important, how to develop a positive parent-child connection, understanding the generation gap, connection points, the strategies for connection, and challenging issues that will prevent us from achieving our goals. I would like to say that to raise children with the necessary connection points for a healthy self sense of self, we need to understand the importance of parent-child connection, develop a positive parent-child connection, and come up with strategies that will help us to achieve this goal. If we try a strategy, if it doesn't work, you can go back to the drawing board and look for how to improve and identify a strategy that works for you. And let's bear in mind what works for child A may not work for child B. Each child is unique. Conclusively, amidst all our everyday life challenges, we should not overlook the importance of connecting with our children. We need to connect to impact and empower our children with adequate knowledge and skills that will be useful for them in navigating life on their own, because we are not going to be with them forever. After some age, after they reach some age, they will have to be on their own. So, how do they navigate life on their own? We need to equip them with that beneficial knowledge and skills that will assist them. Um, Thank you all for your audience and attention. Before we go to the Q&A session, I know some of you will have some questions. I would appreciate it if you could share your main takeaway from this presentation. I will take a few minutes to do that. I would like to read your main takeaway from this presentation. So that way, I will be able to know that at least you have gained something, and you are willing to make use of it after this presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I know that you're a very busy person. Thank you for just giving us time out of your busy schedule. Really appreciate that. So some people have, I think they are dropping their comments already. Someone said, yes, I bought three of them. I think you can see it on the screen. So while
Yes.
we're waiting for other people to drop their own learning, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you. I know you have tons of work today to do, but you just try to show up for us. Thank you for doing that. So one of the things that I personally learned in this, what you have said, is that what we should, if you have any issues, maybe from your own childhood, that might be affecting how you're showing up for your child, it's important that you try and deal with it. Because honestly, that's the foundation. If you did not have what, you can't give what you don't have. So if you never experienced those things growing up with your own parents, you might struggle to do that to your child. So sometimes you need to go back to reflect on the things that happened to you growing up so you can become better for your child. Somebody said for me, it's the idea of involving them in all decision-making process, and that's very important. One of the things that we should learn to do. Most times when people say we in schools, they'll say, parents, listen to your children, we are the leaders of tomorrow. You call kids leaders of tomorrow, but you hardly involve them. And I see this in school setting a lot. It's my own personal observation. In schools, kids cannot question their teachers. In schools, we don't give them opportunity to share their opinion, to even lead themselves, while we are just there to guide them. So this is an avenue for us to reflect back. When we call kids leaders of tomorrow, are we really giving them the opportunity to lead? And you see it even in university. I know that while I was in school some 4 5 years ago, when we want to ask questions from lecturers, people will be scared to ask questions. I'll be like, why are you scared? This 27-year-old, you are 27 for crying out loud, and you are scared to ask a lecturer a question. You are scared to share a different opinion. Because I remember that then they didn't want to allow us. I studied adult education, and I said I want to transfer to economics. That was my dream course before I later settled for adult education. So they said you can't go because I happen to be one of their, at least when they count the first 10 students in class, I happen to be among them. And I said I would write letter, I would fight for it. My husband just said I should just calm down and take it easy. So people were saying, man, I cannot do it, I'll just stay here. Why can't you talk? So we need to actually look back at involving kids in decision making, because it's how the template that we give them in the house that they are going to bring accept from other people. So if you have never involved them in the house in decision making, when they go out there, they can't share their own opinion because they don't even know what it means to partake in community or in development of anything. So thank you for that. Somebody else say something too. Somebody else communicating with the children and listening genuinely. So thank you for sharing. You're still waiting for more. So that's one of the things that I personally took from that. If you call kids leaders of tomorrow, then we should allow them to start leading while we are there to guide them, because we believe that, of course, we are the adults for a reason. When they are there to make mistakes, you are there to call them back to the right path. Thank you. Okay, somebody also shared something again. I learned that they can organize social events for themselves. We don't have to do everything. That's true. I think one of the things that I also adopt in my house is that when it is time for holiday, we have meetings just like you have said, and we say what are the things we want to do this particular summer. One of the things we do is that we try to reflect more on the Quran, because during school activities, we go to school as early as 7:37. We don't have enough time. And the last year session has been really tough because the two of them are transitioning into a new class. The older one is going to secondary school, junior secondary school. The younger one is going to a primary school. So it was not so easy for us to practice revision of Quran, stuff like that. So every morning now we try and reflect on Quran. We do our after subh. The first after 1 hour till 7 we are still practicing and doing all sorts of things. So we had to draw down that plan. I asked them, what do you want us to do? They said we should be watching movies. When we know we don't have time to watch movies, we should watch movies this time. Yes, we are going to watch movies that aligns with our values. So they have been disturbing me since yesterday. Mommy, you want to wound yourself. So only you want to do 4 classes today again. When are you going to even have time for us? I said it's just for 3 days. After these 3 days, I'm done. And you have me to yourself. You can have us. We can always have me time together. So it's important that we involve our kids and carry them along. Communication is key. Maintaining your own mental health is vital. In fact, this is, I think, is a very vital point. Once your own mental health is at stake, you can't give it. It's until you take care of your own self, and that's why I think she mentioned something about that too in the beginning. That take care of your own mental health. If you don't know, you're not in a good state, you can't give back to your child. Talk much less of the community. So thank you all for your sharing your feedback. I think, is that okay for you? You still want to read more comments from them, ma'am?
Yeah. Thank you to everyone who has shared their main takeaway, and I hope that this presentation was beneficial to you all, and hopefully we will have a smooth. It won't always be smooth anyway. At least a stressless parenting journey together.
Somebody else also has something to share again. Somebody said, my main takeaway is to allow them, seriously, we need to look into that, especially in this Nigeria. Those of us that are in Nigeria, please, you need to look into that aspect. We call kids leaders of tomorrow, but we don't let them lead in anything. We don't let them share their opinions in the house. And I think that it stems from the way we were also raised. Many of us, you want to share an opinion, come on, keep quiet. Sorrow. We need to redefine and ask ourselves, what less are we seeing kids' contribution to conversations? I'm not saying we should allow kids just interrupt when we are talking, but in decisions that have to do with their life, that has to do with, we have to make them know the value of responsibility when they choose. Even sometimes for the older one, maybe when they are already teenagers, let them choose things that you are not really comfortable with, as long as it does not contradict your faith. So, and let them see the consequence of that action. I think for my son, one of the things that we did earlier this year was to set goals for his educational goals. He said he wants to become this particular position. And the first time results came, and the result was not so appealing. And he saw it. Teacher might tell him to read more. We say, "Mommy, I've read, I've read." I said, "You are not in primary school again. Read more." We say, "I've read, mommy." When the results came, he saw it for himself. And I was glad I saw it. Second time, nobody taught him. He will read as for as long as 11 p.m. I'll say, "Go and sleep." He said, "Mommy, let me read more again." And the ones that I genuinely did not read very well, he saw the results. The two ones I did not read, that his daddy asked him, "Do you know this one very well?" He said, "I know it." But truly, he did not actually do revision. He overestimated his performance, his own self. And when he saw the results, it was just only those two that were not good. And that told him that, if I make efforts, I will see it. Nobody's coming to rescue you. He said it to himself, "Mommy, if I had known, I would have done better." I said, it's okay. This is an opportunity for you to do better in third term. So sometimes we have to just like she said, through their mistakes, they should also learn from that. Instead of just condemning them, look at, see, what kind of result do you bring home? Let them see it for themselves that this is what you do. So I had to write out, I told him to write out the results. The first time results, second time results. I look at the difference. Can you compare them? Who did it for you? Who wrote it for you? You wrote it yourself. So anything you put your mind to, you can get it. You can get it. So, and that's, I think I appreciate that you also mentioned that point. Thank you all for joining and for sharing all that you have learned. I think we have come to the end of the session. If there are no questions, we are going to round up. But if there is any question that you want to ask, please ask in the next 1-2 minutes before we call it a day. And we are going to join the next session, the last session for this conference, which is going to be that of on the topic of environment, how it is important in raising healthy children. And then we have the last session, which is going to be the closing speech, just from a facilitator that has been with us all this while at TP Parenting Academy. So thank you all for joining. I'm still trying to wait for the questions. Perhaps there's anybody that have questions, please drop them. This is an educationist that is coming here to just share time. So I know she has a lot of experience when it comes to teaching, learning, factors that affect connection and effective performance of kids in school. So you can ask your questions here now before we call it a day. I think there are no questions still, but if there are any questions, you can always drop them in the comment section, perhaps on YouTube or on Facebook. If I have the answers to them, I would respond. And if I don't have the answers, I might possibly tag her, but I don't think she's on social media. So I will just hope that I'm able to answer that question. So thank you for joining us, Mom. I really appreciate that you just sacrificed from your busy schedule to be here
It's
today.
a
May Allah
pleasure.
reward you for me. And may you continue to be the light that you are wherever you find yourself. Okay, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Please join again by
Bye.
3:30 to come and learn about environment and an important factor that affects healthy parenting. Bye.
Yeah, bye.